Okay, guys, so I'm going to take you through some live journaling. Now, I appreciate this is a recording and therefore not live. What I mean by live is we're going to be doing it in real time. So I've got my journal and pen to hand, as you should have, or your daily mindset practice worksheet. So you're either typing into your worksheet or you've got your physical journal and pen handy so that you can write somewhere digitally or analog. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to be inserting pauses after the journaling prompts. They're going to be 2, 3, possibly a minute long in some cases. And in that period of time, I want you to sit and work on the prompt so that if you follow this recording, you're actually going to go through the process of journaling as you would in the morning, as you would in the evening, as we would on a live community session together. But this is for you to follow if you can't make a live session or if you're struggling for inspiration, particularly in the mornings where we're doing the majority of our mindset journaling. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So we're going to start as we would first thing in the morning. We're going to start with taking your mental pulse. So on your daily mindset practice worksheet, this will be on page 1, left-hand side of the page, first thing you start with. If you're using page 3 already, which is everything that we've learned in Mind Body Upgrade encompassed into a single journaling page, it's still top of the page, left-hand side, because it's where we start in the morning. Now, in reality, you're going to take 5 minutes to do this probably. Today, we're going to condense that down into a couple of minutes. But let's set the scene for you. So this is to be done as soon as you wake up in the morning. So you want to capitalize on that sort of luminous space psychologically between sleep and being fully awake, you know, in that sort of half space where you're not really asleep, particularly not in deep sleep, maybe in a dreamlike state, but you're not fully awake. And often this is a great time of inspiration for creatives. And we're utilizing this time for the same reason, because it's going to give us access to our subconscious. So if you can't do it immediately from, you know, lifting your head off the pillow in the morning, you're going to do it the very first task of the day once you're up and moving, before you're working, before you've watched the news, before you've got involved in a task that's going to take you out of that state that you've awoken in. Okay, so we're going to start with a body scan. So I want you to sit comfortably. We're not yet writing. This is to help you guys who find it difficult to sort of access your subconscious. So we're going to start with the body, that then will take us on to thoughts and emotions. So I want you to sit, put your pen down, stop typing for the moment, close your eyes, get comfortable. You to sit up nice and tall in your chair without straining to hold a particular postural position. So we're relaxed but upright. And I want you to start scanning, looking out for how you feel physically, but also emotionally. So we're going to start at the top of the head. And you're going to run your attention down through your face. Think about any tautness in your facial muscles through into your neck. How's that feeling? Into your shoulders. Think about that space between your neck and your shoulders in the upper traps where a lot of us hold tension, particularly people doing desk-based jobs or working with their hands in front of them all day, which can be really upper trap dominant. you're dropping down through your chest cavity, down through your spine, through your mid-back, down into your lower back, through your glutes into that chair, down through your hamstrings and quads, through into your knee, lower leg, ankles, through into your feet in contact with the floor. Note that groundedness of the connection of your body into the floor. Now that was a very, very quick body scan from head to toe. So if you're finding it difficult to access how you're feeling first thing in the morning, start with the physical, start with the body scan. Okay, let's go into our first journaling prompt, where I'm going to hand over to you guys for 2 minutes. So I want you to think about why you're on Mind Body Upgrade. So particularly, what is it that you want to change? And when you think about that change, when you think about that thing that you want to improve, how or why have you failed to make these changes in the past? Because if it's something that you really want to change, the odds are you've already tried. And therefore the odds are you have failed on more than one occasion. Now, some of those failures will be technical. Some of those failures will be as a result of a lack of knowledge, but you don't have a knowledge problem. You're likely to have an application problem. An application will come from structure and come from accountability, but the system that delivers your change is only as good as your ability to avoid self-sabotage. So what we're looking out here for are the stories, so your internal dialogue, the way that you speak to yourself, so the way that your ego throws up stories around what you're capable of doing or capable of not doing. Those stories, when they're limiting, result ultimately in a form of behavior that is soothing in the moment, but also is likely to be sabotaging. So unless we can spot that, our system is ultimately doomed to failure. Because the best system in the world, with the best knowledge in the world, is going to be sabotaged unless we can see these stories. Now, we don't just see them, we go on to act on them as well. But first we need to build in your awareness around that. So that's what taking your mental pulse is for every morning. And that's what we're going to do now. So 2 minutes thinking about the language you use around your ability to change, not to change, particularly what the biggest struggle in your life, the thing you've tried to change the most, maybe the thing that you're on Mind Body Upgrade to change. We're going to focus on that. 2 minutes, off we go now. Okay, that was your 2 minutes. So in the morning, you might do that for a little bit longer. You might do that for 5 minutes. But this morning or afternoon or evening, whatever time of day you're listening to this, we're just setting the scene. We're giving you your introduction to your journaling practice. So we'll start at 2 minutes. You can build that out to 5 on a daily basis. Now, what stories came up there? If nothing came up at all, don't worry. This is your first experience of this. And like anything, it takes time, it takes repetition, it takes consistency. You've got to train your journaling muscle. It's not going to come to you immediately. If it has, great. If you've got some stories that stood out, then transfer them to the limiting story section on your daily mindset practice worksheet, or just jot them down in your journal, circle them, underline them, make them stand out from the rest of the words in your mental pulse section, and we will move on. If you can see limited nature personas on your daily mindset practice worksheet, don't worry about that. That's more advanced. We're going to get round to that later in the program. Now we're going to reset, because imagine we're first thing in the morning again. We've taken our mental pulse, we've unloaded, we've had the catharsis of that journaling practice, but it can also be quite challenging. It can throw up things from our subconscious in terms of stories and beliefs that are uncomfortable, that can make us feel some dissonance, because we're challenging long-held subconscious stories and beliefs. Your ego will fight back. There will be dissonance. That dissonance is a good thing. It means you're onto something. However, it can make you feel uncomfortable. So before we think about the future, before we think about where we're going, when we make the changes that we want to make, we might need to just clear our heads a little bit, hit mental reset, reframe our mind. So you might do that on a daily basis with your meditation, with some yoga. You might just go and eat your breakfast, make a cup of coffee, some sort of interrupter. For today's purpose, we're going to do a breathing exercise. So I want you to think about equanimity while you're breathing. So you're not resisting a thought and you're not chasing after it. It's there. It's part of your subconscious, and you're just letting it pass you by. You're not running from it. You're not chasing after it. Okay? You're going to breathe in. And when you expand your lungs and you feel that feeling in your diaphragm, that bracing, you're going to say to yourself inside your head, feel. So you're really going to feel that in-breath. You're going to breathe out, not blowing that air out hard, but just naturally emptying your lungs. And then in that space when you've emptied your lungs, but before you next breathe in, you're just going to say to yourself, feel again. So you're trying to feel lungs full, lungs empty, and just focus on those two feelings. Okay. We're going to do that for 1 minute. Let's go. And that was 1 minute. Hopefully you've reset mentally, you've found your center again, and we can move on. So we're going to look at vision. We're thinking at this point early in your journey about a 3-year vision. We vastly overestimate what we can achieve in a month or 2 or 3, and we tend to really underestimate what we can achieve in a year. When we think about 5 to 10 year goals, it can feel too far away. It's too intangible. It's not sufficiently related to where we are now to bear any relevance. Therefore, we don't connect with it emotionally. And if we don't connect with it emotionally, we're never going to get there. So given we underestimate what we can achieve in a year, 3 years allows you to dream big, but it's sufficiently close to the here and now. It doesn't feel as disconnected as a 5-year, 10-year plan. So we're thinking about a 3-year vision. We break this down into 3 areas, the 3 Ps. So you're going to think about your physical life, your body, what you're capable of physically, your health, physical hobbies, sports, activities that you like to do, how you feel about your body, how you feel in your body image. Then the professional. Anything that we do to generate income or in preparation for a career or as an act of service. So our professional life, our professional selves, whether that's the business you work in, the business that you run, the charity you work in, the not-for-profit, your education, retraining, upskilling, whatever it might be. Personal life is your personal life, your relationships, your closest and most important relationships, then resonating out from that through friends and family, how you conduct yourself in those relationships. Okay, we're going to spend 2 minutes on each area. So I want you to build the vision of who you could be, who you know that you are, if you were just capable of enacting consistently the system to make the changes that you want to make without self-sabotaging, because it's there within you. You know that you're capable of this. So let's start with physical. It's often easier to think about where we want our bodies, and it's easy to think about where we want our professional lives. So we're going to go physical, professional, personal last. 2 minutes on each. Here we go. 2 minutes on physical, 3-year vision. Go. Okay, that was 2 minutes on your physicality and your vision for your physicality in 3 years' time. We're now going to do the same thing, but this is all about your professional life. So 2 minutes starting now. And that's your 2 minutes on professional vision 3 years' time. We're going to jump straight into personal, another 2 minute block. We're going to mute myself again. Let's go 3 years from now, personal vision, go. Okay, that was your 2 minutes on your personal vision. Now we're going to bring those 3 areas together, the 3 Ps, physical, professional, personal. Now we want to think about how that combines. Not just combines generally, but we're going to try to attach ourselves to a visualization, to something that I call imagination theatre. So we're going to bring it all together on a particular day at a particular time 3 years from now. The realization of all the work that you're going to do over the next 3 years to achieve that vision for who you could be, who you are without limitation. So if you establish your system to make the changes that you want to change and you enact that system consistently day in, day out, the simpler the system, the better. But if you enact that day in, day out for the next 3 years, you get there, provided also we're working on the other piece of the puzzle, the other side of the coin, which is to not self-sabotage ourselves as well. Right? We do that for 3 years, we get to this person, you get to this person, you get to this place. Okay, now this one's slightly different. Not quite sure how long it's going to take. Could be 3, 4, or 5 minutes. I am going to walk you through it. You're not writing anything here. You're not typing anything here. This is happening in your mind's eye. I want you to imagine this. So I want you to down tools, close your eyes, make sure you're in a quiet space. If you're not already in a quiet space, get a quiet space. You don't want to be distracted here. Okay, close your eyes and let's start imagining where you are. Are you indoors or are you outdoors? If you're outdoors, what time of year is it? What's the weather like? What's the air temperature? Do you feel hot? Do you feel cold? Is there a breeze blowing on your face? What are you standing on? What's the quality, the texture of the ground that you're stood on? If you're indoors, which room are you in? Are you at home? Are you at work? Are you in a yoga studio? Are you in the gym? Are you on the beach? Where are you? If you're indoors now, in fact, regardless whether you're indoors or outdoors, what can you see around you? What can you smell? What can you reach out and touch? What are the textures, the surfaces? Are they warm? Are they cold? Who are you with? Who are the people that surround you or are next door? Or you can see out the corner of your eye? Who's there? Are you stood apart from them or are you interacting with them? What's happening in the room or the space that you're in? What are you about to go and do that day? What have you already done that day? How do the people around you make you feel? What are you wearing? How do you feel in your body? How do you feel about your body? And how do you feel generally, having achieved everything that you set out to achieve 3 years ago? Hold your thoughts on that feeling. And that was 3 minutes of imagination theatre. You just experienced how powerful that can be. You're priming your subconscious for a reality that you're yet to create. Your brain can't tell the difference between a real, in inverted commas, experience and an experience that you explore in your mind's eye and your imagination in such vivid detail that to all intents and purposes, it feels real. So that's what we're doing. We're creating a new reality at the level of the subconscious. Okay, now we've got to get honest with ourselves. We've got the vision for who, where, what, why in 3 years' time. We know where we are now. So it's time to take extreme ownership. Think about, we're going back to the 3 Ps. We're breaking it back down again to physical, professional, personal. I'm going to give you a minute on each of these areas. So we don't want to spend too long here. We want to find in limited time the most obvious area for change, area for growth, the biggest challenge, the biggest obstacle in each of those 3 areas, physical, professional, personal, where you're failing at the moment to enact your vision. So this is grounding us in the here and now in relation to where we want to be in 3 years' time, which then allows us to chart that path between now and then, so that we're not wasting time going left, going right, when we should be going straight ahead, challenging the biggest areas, breaking them down, setting our goals around chipping away at the obstacles in front of us to get to that 3-year vision, to call it into reality. So, physical, 1 minute. Biggest obstacle, challenge, area of growth, think turnkey. What's the one thing about your physicality, about your body, that if you changed it, it would unlock all these other things for you that you want to change around your physical health, around your body image? What's the big thing? The biggest thing separating you from that 3-year vision. 1 minute, physical, let's go. Okay, that was 1 minute on physical. Now let's move on to professional. So in terms of where you want to be, we're not just thinking about a profession in a limited sense, i.e. where do you go every day to make your living, but in the broader sense. Think wealth, material comfort as well. So in terms of where you want to be in 3 years' time versus where you are now, where's the biggest obstacle, the biggest challenge, the biggest area for growth, i.e. which area is the area that you stand the biggest chance of improving, and also is it a turnkey area? Like, does it unlock other things that you're wanting to change for you? So you're looking for that one big thing, the lowest hanging fruit. So 1 minute professional now. Okay, that was your professional accounting. So taking extreme ownership of where you are now versus where you want to be, looking for that one big area. The turnkey behavior, trait, change, characteristic, whatever it may be, that is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck in terms of your growth. So now finally, we're doing that for our personal lives. 1 minute again, starting now. Okay, minute on personal is up. So we're moving on. Before we do, let's summarize where we've got to so far. So we're 40 minutes in. You have gone through taking your mental pulse, that download of what's happening at the subconscious level. We have then reset with a breathing exercise. We've then moved on to looking forward. Where are we going to be in 3 years' time if we establish a system that we can consistently live with for the next 3 years, that we can live with without self-sabotaging? We've looked at the physical, the professional, and the personal. And then we have been honest with ourselves. We've embraced some extreme ownership of where we are now in our physical, professional, and personal lives, how that differs from where we want to be or where we could be in 3 years' time with our system and without self-sabotage. And we've looked for the lowest hanging fruit. So in our physical life, our professional life, and our personal life, what are the big issues, the turnkey things, the things, the one change that unlocks many others in those areas, okay? Now, on a day-to-day basis, we would then set our intentions for the day that help answer the challenge in terms of our physical, professional, and personal lives. Small acts that, if done consistently day in, day out, will take us closer to that vision from where we are today. Looking for incremental improvement. We're going to come back to that in a later journaling session. Next, and lastly, we're going to move on to positive proof. So this is done at the end of the day, before we go to bed, where all we want to do is prime our subconscious with positivity. We're inherently negative. We don't need any more negative priming. So before we go to sleep and order our thoughts in our sleep, we're going to prime our subconscious with some positivity. We're going to show it that we are already doing things that are taking us closer to our vision. Okay, so first question in this regard is, what are you already doing, albeit inconsistently, that if you did it consistently would make the biggest difference in your personal, professional, and physical lives? So, what are you already doing? What do you already know is good for you that you don't do quite consistently enough yet in those 3 areas? 2 minutes, off you go. Okay, that was 2 minutes on that first prompt in terms of us looking for positive proof, and that was looking for what we're already doing well, albeit inconsistently. We're not worried about the inconsistency at the moment. We're just looking for what we did well. We're going to sort out the consistency later. Next, and we're just going to take a minute for this. What are you already doing towards your goals, towards that long-term 3-year vision? You're doing it consistently, but perhaps you're not giving it due recognition that it's supporting your change of growth. So where could you recognize better the stuff that you are doing consistently well already? 1 minute, starting as soon as I can get my timer going now. Okay, 1 minute up there. And finally, last positive proof prompt of today. Let's broaden it beyond today. Often when you're journaling and doing this day in, day out, you'll be looking for as many wins as possible from the day that's just gone. This is the first time you're doing it. You might not be switched into thinking about your small wins yet. So let's think about the last few days, maybe the last week, absolutely everything, however minor, that you have done for yourself that has had a positive impact. That's a good thing for you, that is in service of your long-term vision. Whether you thought it was or not when you did it, on reflection, it's in service of your long-term vision. So you're looking for incremental stuff, wins, big and small, preferably the small daily repetitive stuff that you can do day in, day out without too much worry. Okay, 1 minute, starting now. And that's the 1 minute up there. So there's a little example of positive proof and how we would use it in our evenings before we go to bed to prime our subconscious in terms of the serving stories around everything that we are doing well to achieve what we want, to make changes, to realize our vision, rather than our tendency as human beings to focus on what we're not doing, what's not going well in our lives. So in summary, you've experienced taking a mental pulse, which is the first journaling activity of every morning. You've started already to build awareness around your limited stories. Some of you will have noticed some already and dropped them into that section of your daily mindset practice worksheet, or put a ring around them, underscored them in your journal. You now have a 3-year vision in the 3 areas of your life that we're focusing on: your physical, your professional, your personal lives. You've had your first experience of imagination theatre. That was you situating yourself in space and time 3 years from now, calling to mind what you could see, what you could smell, what you could touch, how you felt about your body, everything coming together, your physical, your professional, and your personal visions being realized in a moment in your mind's eye. Then we took extreme ownership. That was that honest accounting of where we are now versus where we want to be in 3 years' time, and the direction we'd have to head in to get there. We then looked for positive proof. So what are you doing, albeit inconsistently already, that's great stuff that we want to hold on to, that we want to build some consistency around and make part of your system? What are we doing already consistently that perhaps we're not giving due deference to, in terms of being grateful that we already do that thing or have that thing, or just respecting the fact we're already making effort in that area? And again, that wants to be part of your system going forward. We would, and we'll move on to this in a later journaling exercise, after the honest accounting in the morning, set our intentions for the day. So you'd set your intentional action for tomorrow in your 3 areas: physical, professional, and personal. And the positive proof comes at the end of the day before bed, where we're going, okay, we set our intentions in the morning towards our vision and away from self-sabotage. And then at the end of the day, we're going to recognize what we did achieve. So we intend in the morning and we recognize in the evening. Okay, there is, in 52 minutes, live journaling at a level of complexity and detail that you won't go into on a daily basis. You are not going to need 50 minutes for your daily mindset practice. But the beauty of joining live in a session or following a recording is that you get to expand upon what you do on a daily basis and really indulge it, albeit against the clock, so we stay sharp, and we focus on only the very most important things. Often we can start to overthink things and go off in a tangent. So those time limits just keep you honing in on, those turnkey moments, those lowest hanging fruit areas in terms of where we need to target and take action first. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in a live session. Bye-bye.